Hey everybody. Please be sure if you're watching this to click that subscribe button and push that like button. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed so far. I really appreciate the support. All right, so I'm gonna review, kind of quickly all Love Is Blind episodes 6 through 8. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna go couple by couple. I know I'm gonna be moving around a lot because most of this is gonna be straight off the dome. Okay, Tiffany and Brad. Okay, we still love them. We know they're gonna say yes. I'd be shocked to death if they didn't, but we know they're gonna say yes. They are good together. They go and meet Tiffany's friends. We haven't seen Tiffany meet his friends yet. I'm not sure. I know Brad had one brother and lost him. In an unfortunate car crash, but I don't know about. I can't remember about his mother and father specifically. For some reason, I don't remember. But we haven't met their families yet, but they're still getting along well. Like she's going to his apartment. Tiffany was living with a roommate or whatever. I was like at 36, girl. Not because I don't know. Not because like like if she was living in New York, I'd be like okay, whatever. She got a roommate. But I also kind of feel like, don't you want your own space? But then again, sometimes people, don't want to be lonely. It's good to have somebody you can call if something goes wrong. But anyway, so she goes to Brett's apartment, and Brett has it set up like somebody who would be designing shoes. He got sneakers everywhere in the little cases in his closet. She was like, "This is really nice." He was like, "It's not that nice." And I was like, "No, it's probably because she was thinking, because he was a man, he'd be much messier." But anyway, they're still getting along. But I'm confused with like the very nice stainless steel appliances in the townhouse that they're just staying in until they get married. I'm just like, y'all, the show isn't buying these for y'all, are they? That everybody's staying in? I'm just kind of like, I mean, I guess for the purpose of taping the show, but I personally would be very disappointed if I went from that to something else. Anyway, and let me say something else. While I'm on it, them fucking gold ass wine cups that we know they half the time may be drinking alcohol in them. The other half we know it's just like Coke or Sprite or whatever the hell it is, or orange juice for all we know. But I'm gonna need the Love Is Blind casting director setup people to do better. I'm gonna need the barcode not to be at the bottom when people drink because I definitely saw that when Brett started drinking. And you can tell these are like dollar store cups. And don't think you can't get like stuff that looks like that in a dollar store. You can. Okay. And I'm just sitting up here like, why do they keep forcing this on us season after season? Anyway, but they meet Tiffany's friends. Tiffany's friends are really supportive. Was it just me or did Tiffany's black friends look just like her? I thought they were her sisters. But anyway, anyway, she has her like white homegirl who's like crying and like she's like the best person. And they were like, they just felt really good about Brett. I mean, how could you not though? How could you not? Brett's winning. Brett's winning. I know he's not everybody's type, but I like Brett and his little mohawk. Okay, but you could tell they really like each other, and they're able to actually talk to each other without arguing or appearing to like be suppressing something. Like they're at a place in their life where they're mature enough to be honest with each other. Okay, so we get Micah and Paul. Micah and Paul are talking, and Micah brings up now that they're back in their Love Is Blind sponsored apartment. That Irina was talking about how she was attracted to him, whatever, and Paul was like, "Yeah, I noticed she was flirting or whatever." And they show back some of the clips, and I'm like, "Okay, first of all, this is why." I just kept thinking, did she know Irina before this? Like, why was that like your just living quarters bestie? Because she clearly wasn't at your friend's party. Nobody brought up Irina, so I'm assuming she's not your homegirl like that. And that's why you don't go around calling people your best fucking friend when they're not your best fucking friend. Two, Micah, I don't feel sorry for you because you were a complete bitch to everybody else. She's telling Paul, they showing the tapes where she was flirting with him, but y'all need to play back them confessionals when he was talking about how attracted he was to her and all his business and her titties were all out. Okay, so don't play with me. So she goes and sits down with Irina. I was like, oh shit now. So she goes and sits down with her and she was like, that wasn't appropriate. She was like, well, I am kind of attracted to him. Bitch, you are a hoe of epic proportions. You had no shame. You didn't try to pretend. She was like, well, I can't bring her around him if she's going to be like that. She was not sorry. She sees this show as a game, and some of them do. Micah and Paul do too. But that's not the point. I'm going to need you to be more apologetic. And that's why her crater face ass don't have nobody. She's not a decent person. She's a bitch. I guarantee you she does not have female friends. We see why. Okay? And I'm not here for it. But anyway, so Micah gets rid of her for the time being, as far as we know. All right, so they meet each other's parents. The first person to meet parents was Micah's to Paul. His mom comes up from New Orleans, and that hat was giving real. I was like, yeah, it's giving real Southern small town. I may work at a gas station, but I'm like, but I can also drink at the bar and party with people who are 20 years younger than me. But it was giving that. Anyway, so she meets Micah, and she's all into it. I'm like, none of this is alarming to y'all that he just met this woman through a screen a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, and they're talking about getting married, but they do kind of look alike. She literally looks like her. And Paul meets Micah's parents, and it goes well face to face. Her father and him have the same name. They're at least polite, and they're like, yeah, well, we support it. And she lives in Arizona, he lives in Seattle, and I was like, why did they get these people so, like, are these people aware how far people live? Like, why was Micah casted living so far away? But they'll figure it out. And she was like telling, yeah, anyway. But Micah's parents think it's rushed, but they're supporting her at least on camera. Okay? But when Micah goes to Paul's apartment, because she apparently lives in fucking Arizona, she was like, yeah, everything needs an overhaul. He needs new style, this, that, and the other. And she was like, we definitely would move out of here. And she was like, yeah. She looks at him and he goes, I mean, like, I understand, like, what you're saying, but, like, no. And something about the look on his face, just the way it just went, something said serial killer. I don't know why, but it gave me serial killer. And he just kind of seemed to, and somebody that can do that, something ain't right. Something ain't right. Okay? But when they interviewed her father, I remember it kind of confirmed my feeling because it was before they met the parents that I remember this. So, and the father was like, I don't know, Paul. He seems like a nice guy, but he could be a serial killer. And I was like, wait, maybe I'm not the only person getting that vibe. Anyway, so they're talking or whatever, but everything about Micah and Paul, even though they're not having big blow up arguments or anything like that, one, I feel like they have zero chemistry. Am I the only one saying that? I'm not convinced that because you say the right things, yeah, she's genuine, she's nice, I know she cares about me, I could totally see us together. Well, shit, y'all don't know each other. Anybody can imagine something. Shit, I can open a novel and imagine I'm a character. That don't make it the way my life is supposed to be. What the fuck? Like, it just seems very fluffy. It doesn't seem like they're into each other like that. It just seems like they want to get to the end of the show. Like, I just don't even see them like... And you can tell Micah is one of them girls who go to the club and swing on a pole. So, like, her trying to pretend like, oh, we were taking our time with sex and all that stuff. Girl, you are not a good girl. Okay, so miss me. Miss me with the bullshit. Then we get to Micah's best friend's birthday. And Paul is meeting her friends, her real friends apparently, right? Because, we thought Irina was her best friend. Anyway, she's meeting her real friends, and her friends are, like, grilling him at a party. Yeah, they were drinking or whatever. And I don't even like Paul. I think Paul's corny. I think Paul's ugly. I think he's whack. But they were rude. The blonde hair woman that looked like Micah was really rude. And she was like, I don't think this is for you. And she starts crying once he goes away. And she was like, well, what do you think about her opinion? He was like, well, honestly, I don't care. Okay, first of all, you were rude to him. Is he really supposed to act nicely to you when you are that disrespectful to his face? I mean, like, really? Like, did you really expect that? Like, give me a break. And then Micah is on one. She's like, well, you should care what she thinks because she's my best friend. And he's just like, I think he just decides to go away. We know he goes upstairs and gets a mojito. I forgot what he said to get away. And she's just crying. She was like, no, you just deserve the best and best wedding. Something about that. First of all, her friend just had all kinds of masculine features caked up behind makeup. Number two, it was given a little too concerned for my liking. And when I say that, like, it was giving me, like, have y'all slept together before? Like, Micah, is there something you want to tell us? Is she in love with you? Because it's one thing to not like your homegirl's boyfriend and just be like, okay, whatever. But she was doing a little bit too much for me. Okay, and I wasn't here for it. And Micah, you a dumb fuck. How the fuck she gonna be more emotional than your parents who birthed you? What the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, okay, then we get to the sort of plot twist. Zach and Bliss. Now, I expected them to sit down on camera because we had gotten the previews. So they sit down on camera, whatever. And they talk, and I can tell, Bliss is bothered. She was like, well, I tried to tell you about Irina. And he was like, yeah, I knew I had made the wrong decision. I was thinking to myself, yeah, after she like totally curbed you, like you on one side of the bed, she's on the other. Like she's holding on to your stuffed animal like for dear life because she don't like, I mean, whatever. Um, and Bliss is really, really beautiful. So a piece of me is bothered by the fact that Bliss is like second. The same way I was bothered last season. I can always remember Gerald's name, but I cannot remember the light skinned black girl that he chose second to that other girl. And but Bliss goes out with Zach. They talk. She meets him at his apartment. They go on a boat ride. He apologizes, for not picking her first. And Bliss is like, well, I'm always going to feel something about that because that was um you know, like that hurt. That stuck. I love you. And then you chose someone else. And that's the thing. I'm sorry. It it feels like shit. It's one thing to be with somebody, y'all break up, you see them with somebody else, and you come back and then you kind of like, that kind of thing. But it wasn't. It was an active choice over her. And any woman would feel that way. But a woman who has feelings for him, I can see why she entertains him. But when he asked you to marry him, that would have been a no for me. But I'm holding out for Bliss and her what looks like her Italian father, whispering in her ear down the aisle with all the mics talking about you. You deserve better than this. You. That's gonna give us a show. But all we know, Bliss is just playing dress up for now. Okay. And just wants to embarrass him on TV the way he embarrassed her. Yes, God, Bliss. I'm here for it. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see. But she's a sweet girl. Is it me, though? Or does every time we hear her talk and see her, she looks like she wants to burst into tears? I don't know if she's depressed or hurt or embarrassed, but she just always looks like she wants to cry. I mean, like real cry. Like, I don't think she's faking cry, like, Candace Diller on Potomac. But, like, I really feel like she just wants to burst into tears. And she is kind of nerdy. He was like, but you don't look like a nerd. And I was like, motherfucker, you need to get on your knees and be grateful. Anyway. All right. So, okay, let's touch on Jackie and Marshall before we get into Jackie and Marshall back at Chelsea and Kwame. All right, so Jackie and Marshall. Jackie, I said it before, I'll say it again. I think you are a very, very outwardly beautiful young lady. Marshall is handsome. You could tell he's kind of nerdy, but let me be clear. You could tell Marshall ain't no punk. Okay, if you don't remember shit else I say, that is not the kind of nerd you want to fuck with. That's the one that goes, sure, and we'll take it, and we'll take it, and we'll take it. And I promise you, that is not the person you want to do. He's gonna be calm until he blows up, and it ain't gonna be no middle ground. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Jackie is having another breakdown again and again, saying, well, we don't have sex. I want you to be more aggressive in the bedroom, this, that, and the other. He was like, well, what do you mean? That's not me. And how they are in the bedroom is very private. Nevertheless, it is on a reality show. And I'm just like, I can understand why you would want that, Jackie. Trust. As a woman, I understand that. But when he was like, she was like, we haven't had sex. He was like, that's because of me. And I said, oh, wait a minute now. What are we not getting? And she's just going off on him. And like he went somewhere else for a night and then came back home. And then they get into it and they go back over the argument or whatever. And, Marshall had, gotten up the morning before, cooked for her. Because I guess he does more work from home or whatever. And she goes to the dental office and does her work there. He cooked for her, everything. Like doing really nice acts of love. So when they get into it, when they have this big argument, he's like, well, I do things for you all the time. I'm emotionally there for you, but what do you do for me? And she was like, then why are you with me? First of all, that question sometimes is a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, you can ask somebody, well, shit, then leave if you don't want to fuck with me. And then there's some times where it's like, well, what do you think about yourself if that's your response? He said, because I love you. But Marshall, I'm going to tell you where you got fucked up and where you had me fucked up and where you probably had a lot of people fucked up was when you told her you were a project for me. I've seen broken people like you, and I wanted to help fix you. Oh, brother. Brother, that was not the move. That was hurtful. And honestly, I feel like you meant it. And that's a reflection on you. She's not for you to fix, just like women can't fix men. And it was given real controlling. I want you to be who I want you to be, and let me see, like abusers do, or controlling men do. They put out feelers to see how far they can get with somebody. And she starts crying and yelling, and then all of a sudden she's crying, then walks over and hugs him and kisses him. It's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He's like, okay. You know what that shit reminded me of? Love and Hip Hop, back when it was good, and Tommy was on there with Scrap, and she was like, get the fuck out, Scrap. And Scrap was, okay, all right, fine. He just starts walking. It was giving real, just dysfunctional, toxic tease, okay? But they did meet Marshall's family. You could tell Marshall, him and his sister, you could tell they just come from like a nice family. They're both nice. His brother-in-law came. And they have a little girl, and his niece, and everything is just wonderful. And before, like, Jackie had even met them, Jackie was like breaking down. She was like, this is just giving me anxiety. I can't take it. I can't take it. And Jackie, girl, to sit there and say to Micah, who's like, okay, well, just relax. I can walk them around the block, before they come in. Honestly, your energy is giving me more anxiety. And he was like, okay, and just walked away. And I'm sitting up here like, Jackie, you gonna have to give a little more, or just don't be with him, because I don't see the chemistry. But I do think y'all have the potential to be best fucking ride or die fucking friends, because honestly, y'all can be yin and yang in a perfect puzzle piece. Like, y'all be the two people, if you walk in the club, people will want to be cool with y'all, but they know if Marshall's here, don't fuck with Jackie. If Jackie's here, don't fuck with Marshall, because they will fight you. Okay? Like, that's what y'all giving me, and that's okay. That's okay. If y'all don't get shit else out of this, be best fucking friends. Like, y'all could really ride like that. Okay. So, anyway, they meet his sister. His sister's really nice, and they're like, this isn't really how Marshall usually rolls, but his brother-in-law is friendly, his sister's friendly. And Jackie was like, I was really expecting kind of them to be like, like, fuck her, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, people who are raised well don't act like that. Okay. You're letting us know a lot about you and your family. But Jackie, real talk, you need to see a psychiatrist. And I'm not trying to be funny. Like, it seems like you need some real prescriptions just to help you come down, so that you can start to maybe get the therapy that you need to deal with whatever's bothering you. I'm not shaming you for having something bothering you, but I can tell there's nothing Marshall can do. There's nothing the homegirls you made in the living quarters can do for you, or any of your closest friends right now can do. Sometimes you need a doctor, a real one. I'm not talking about Ayanla. I'm not talking about a life coach, a doctor who's been in school for this. And that's just my advice. Grown woman to mid-20 chick. All right. Now, Chelsea and Kwame. Chelsea and Kwame, another couple with absolutely zero fucking chemistry. Chelsea, I do believe, is one of those people who is committed to a relationship. And when I say committed to the relationship, committed to the idea of the relationship, the idea of marriage, and would stay in it and do her best to keep it together. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I do think it's a difficult thing to do, though, if you don't really love each other. And I don't think y'all love each other. I think you have the absolute right intention. You are only 30. I think you should give it time. And I know the pressure that goes in on women to get married and have a child. Trust me, I get it. And I'm not saying that it's even something you don't want to do. I know you want that. But Kwame is giving me real immature. But nevertheless, they meet, Kwame meets her father. I was thinking, when he walked in here and he see this black man, has he been prepped? It seemed like he had been prepped. But anyway, he was absolutely supportive. He was giving sweet old grandpa vibes. And that was nice. And that was sweet. That was sweet. That was a sweet moment. They start having, issues over Chelsea's like, I like everything clean. I need dishes and a dishwasher, this, that, and the other by night. And I was kind of like, this was when I was kind of with Kwame. Now, as somebody who goes to work, because Chelsea goes to work outside the home, he works from home. Now, I'm not saying that means all your time should go to clean up your house in the meantime, but you could do the dishes and stuff, Kwame. But at the same time, Chelsea, this dishes in the sink, they need to all be loaded up in the dishwasher by X. I was like, I live by myself and still put stuff in the sink until I'm ready to put it in the dishwasher for that cycle of dishes. And I'm all about having a very clean home. I keep everything clean and organized. But my sink can actually serve as a sink. So I kind of felt Kwame on that. And Kwame was like, she was like, they were washing the dog or whatever. He was like, even a dog for me is a lot of responsibility. He was like, I walk him 3 times a day, this, that, and the other. And people who have never had a dog may actually think Kwame is overreacting. But like, dogs require a lot of attention, and the laws around pets now, in terms of what's considered neglect and so on and so forth, that is a lot of work, especially if that's not something additionally that you've taken on previously. So I can understand why Kwame is like, yeah, this is kind of an adjustment, and you're already talking about having kids. He was like, I just always saw myself as for 2 or 3 years, just kind of enjoying my partner or whatever. And I agree with that. Why am I weirdly on his side about some of these things? I think that's true, especially since y'all have only known each other 2.5 weeks, and you'll only know each other 6 weeks when you decide to get married. I think, before you decide to procreate, you might want to chill. You might want to chill first. All right. Now, I know all this traveling all over the place, and it's sort of like kind of selfish. Compromise is necessary around that. It is. Anyway, so we get that. Then we get Chelsea's birthday party. Now, Chelsea has a party where everybody, from Mexico who came out as a couple is invited. They show up. In the words of Brett, plot twist when Zach shows up with Bliss. But they were very embracing. Marshall and all of them were very embracing of Bliss. They were just kind of like, oh, didn't know. But they didn't really, And the ladies seemed happy to see her, especially Jackie and Tiffany. And even Chelsea was happy to see Bliss. But, no, they said plot twist for Josh. Josh shows up. Josh, who also liked Jackie. Josh, first of all, was drunk as fuck. 2, I could tell, was desperate as hell to be on television. Chelsea pulls Marshall aside because Marshall and Jackie do not come to the party together. Marshall shows up first, Jackie shows up second. They ask him where the hell is Jackie, and he goes, I don't know. We just had an argument. So Chelsea pulls him aside and says, well, how are you feeling? And she, he basically just kind of gave it to her. And Chelsea's a good listener. That's why I like Chelsea. Chelsea's a good listener. And she was like, but what is Josh doing here? I think at her own party. I'm like, production. He was like, I don't know, but you need to send him home. Again, I said, Marshall, you better read. Anyway, so Jackie shows up by herself, killing the looks, because we know Jackie has it. She still goes to speak to Marshall. I wasn't sure if she was going to curb him or whatever. And Marshall, she has this nice jumpsuit on. It's really pretty. And he was like, well, here's my coat. And she goes, no, it's coming to my outfit. And he was like, no, you need to put it on. Like, I can't have you out here getting cold. So she just goes, okay. And something about that was a very, very controlling move. One, most of those women, Tiffany didn't have on no jacket. None of the other women, really, except for maybe Chelsea, had on like a sweater or whatever. And I was just like, no, you don't want anybody else to see how beautiful she is. And that is a classic abusive, controlling move. I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying that move was. Okay? I'm not here for it. So then they get Josh, and Josh goes up and talks to Marshall. He was like, oh, I'm sorry, this and the other. And he was like, okay. He was like, I might steal your girl from you, though. I might steal your girl from you. He was like, if you can have her. If I lose to you. Like, they show him like so he was like, if I lose my girl to him, yeah, then yeah, it's better off. And I was just like, and when he turned his head and did like this, when he got done with that conversation with Josh, I was sitting here watching TV and I was like, the fuck happened? It wasn't 3 seconds later when he goes, the fuck, what the fuck just happened? Like, it was just so messy. Then he goes over there and he's in Jackie's face. And Jackie was like, well, Marshall acted like he wanted me more than you. And they're having a conversation. And Marshall seems real unbothered, honestly, because I don't think he's giving a fuck. And it seems like I was actually expecting Jackie to try to, like, play more in Marshall's face, like, by talking to Josh. But I don't think she was here for Josh either. She was just like, yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to get married. I don't know where we are right now. And he was like, well, then marry me. And she was just kind of like, I wouldn't marry you neither. Like, it was, she didn't say that, but her face was giving that. So then, you know, they're having the party. Brett and Tiffany just looking great together. They're happy. They're like that first couple, the black and white couple that was on the first season, Love is Blind, Lauren, and I forget his name. But anyway, just sometimes people just work out. And Brett and Tiffany, I feel like, are going to be like that couple. And also because they know how to act and they're mature. And a lot of these people are not mature. And they're looking for something else. Zach moved to Seattle to start a law firm while we're on it. And he was like, yeah, and I'm getting married. Yeah, I'm taking on a lot. And I'm just like, okay. Anyway, but then Amber shows up. Amber is the other chick who Paul chose Micah over. And she was really hurt by that. But she shows up to the party. And I think everybody just starts looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, isn't there a reunion? Don't we usually have a reunion show? Why don't y'all pull these stunts there? Because don't call that a birthday party for Chelsea with them old tired-ass gold fake-looking cups with the barcode underneath it. And then invite everybody to this party for a goddamn mess. Anyway, that's when Salah would have got her coat. Because let me tell you something, I don't play them games. But I am looking forward to the rest of the season. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.